Okay, we can begin. So, I'm Mark, one of the Amsterdam tour guides. I've been a guide for 10 years here, love it. And just loving these online tours. They're such a lovely way of touring. And it's forced me out of my comfort zone because I have to find new things for everyone all the time, which has been great. Now, this tour is one of my Jordaan walks, and I'm going to go inside a few places. It's about creativity, basically. Amsterdam has always been an innovative and a very creative place. And the Jordaan district has, since the First World War, actually, been quite bohemian with a lot of artistic people in it and artsy things and that sort of thing. And the first place we're going to talk about is Het Muizenhuis, which means the mice house or mouse mansions, as they say in English. And it's a family business. Carina is the mom, Carina Schaapman. And she was a city councillor for a while, actually. And she became, she started writing these children's stories about Sam and Julia. And they were mice. And she based Julia on herself. So Julia lives with her mom. And, I better put my face mask on. Hang on. Hello. I just realized I haven't got my mask on. Julia lives with her mom. And she gets on the 6th floor of the mouse house. And she gets bored easily, and she's very adventurous, and she gets into lots of scrapes. And she has a best friend, Sam, who is much more shy. He lives with his extended family. And Julia and he go out, and they have all sorts of adventures. Now, the whole point of these is that the books are made, and they build a set, and then photograph scenes from the story. So, the books have been translated into 27 languages, and here's some of them. Hey, welcome, Sue and Wilhelmina and Ruth. Here are some of the books. And these are in order, but I'm going to show you some things from inside one called The Harbor. And you can see how it works. So they build a set, and it's Carina and her 4 kids, and they have different roles and overlapping roles as well. Some in business admin, some controlling the website. But they have these scenes which they build, generally out of recycled material as well. And then they create the setting. And then they put the mice in the setting, and it'll be Sam and Julia in there somewhere. And then take photographs of it, and that's how the books come into being. So I'm going to show you actually where, because they've got a little museum in the back here, and you can see this particular scene from the book. So just to refresh your memory, there we go, and here it is. Yeah, the books are for kids from 6 until 106, I think is how they say it, or something like that. And it's been a real success. I'm so pleased for them. And it's such a nice, sort of sustainable idea. If you look closely, you'll see all of these things. Things are all built out of scraps, and it's how to combine your love of craft and storytelling and photography and all of that, and Amsterdam, of course, with these typical Amsterdam houses. So I think it really is a lovely Amsterdam thing. It really sums up the Jordaan district to have small individual creative shops. Nothing quite like it anywhere else in the world. Even mice have to bath. Probably enjoys a bath more than my cat does. So, besides the books, they have kits now where you can build your own mouse house as well. And I'll show you the website in just a bit. And all sorts of things. There's plush mice, Sam and Julia, and many other characters. And of course, their Christmas cards. And here, if anyone's interested, is the website. You just take a picture of that. And yeah, obviously they ship everywhere. So that's Sam and Julia, or Julia in Dutch, Het Muizenhuis.nl. And now let's have a look at this great big model here from the first one. I'll do some close-ups. Here's one of the typical hoisting things they have in Dutch houses, normally on a pole sticking out the top, but they've used a button here. So I say it's so creative, a button. And this is a typical one, but they've used, just 2 buttons to try and make a hoisting pulley. It takes some years, it takes them a couple of years to build these things. There's a new book every, say, 2 years or so. So it's a lot of planning, as you can imagine. But what fun, to create all of this and to create the whole world. And there's a Christmas house here also. Oh, and the last one is the circus, because Karina ran away with the circus when she was, as one of the chapters of her life. And of course, the circus features heavily. Great, so there we are, Muizenhuis. Thank you, Sasha. Bye. Okay. Now, a couple of other things. That's a pleasure. Oh, it's great, isn't it? Look at this funny building here. I never knew what these were for, and then I couldn't find anything about these statues. And then there was a man parking his bicycle downstairs inside, and I asked him. And he said that it was intended to be a street organ museum here. So the ones which you would have to turn, and then they play sheet music with holes in it. And you still get them in Amsterdam, but they have generators now. And these are the typical sort of figurines that you would get on top of them. Of course, they would be much smaller. So that's why it never happened. The museum never came to be. However, Julia, okay, yes. But they kept the statues there, which I think is pretty cool. So, our next stop was just a little walk away. So it's probably the best, the most spectacular thing of the tour. It's the shop Moooi, but look at the colors. It's amazing how these phones actually make life even better than it is with the colors they create. So this Jordaan district has been around since 1614. It was the old workers' district that was developed at the same time as the Grand Canal Belt. And this is where the smellier industries were. And when it was still a workers' district, so we're talking still even after the First World War, there were 80,000 people squished in here. And now there's only 20,000. So it's gentrified, far less population density. And welcome, Wendy and Paula and Ted. And a lot of it's social housing, so it's rent controlled, because there was a huge squatters movement here, and people had broken into the buildings after the Second World War and lived there. And then when it gentrified, they weren't kicked out. Thank you, Sue. What happened is that they were moved out by negotiation. The buildings were renovated up to a decent standard, put into the social housing pool, and then those original squatters were given social housing contracts. You say public housing contracts. Beautiful wine store here. So you get these really nice individual shops here still. And so you still have, a nice mix of people here, where it's a lot of people who qualify for social housing, still a lot of artists, but then also because it's gentrified quite a lot, the actual house prices are quite high. So you get better off people moving in. Let's take a sneaky peek through somebody's window here. A lot of these houses would have been bought by people with intending just to let them out on Airbnb, which is not good. And now what Amsterdam has done is that they have 75% of the Airbnbs have been forced to close because you're not allowed to have them in that way. Hello. And thanks. So hopefully that's one of the things which will help with the housing market. Also now you're not allowed to buy a house below a certain amount and let it out. So if it's below, I think, 355,000 euros, you're not allowed to sublet it unless it's to a close family member. So they're trying to put the brakes on this sort of buy-to-let story. Now, this is the entrance of Moooi, M-O-O-O-I. And Moooi with 2 O's means beautiful, but they added another O because their designs are just so beautiful. Like 1 O is not enough to describe how lovely the designs are. And actually this is an old school building, and this is going up to the offices where I can't go. I just wanted to show you the entrance. I do have permission, however, to go into the showroom. Okay, so a little bit about Moooi. Oops. It was founded in 2001. Yeah, you get hire bikes all over the place. They're different ones. But I'll talk about that maybe later on a different tour. Moooi was formed in 2001 and by Marcel Wanders and somebody called Casper Visser. And the idea was to work with unconventional designers. And Marcel Wanders was kind of the rebellious bad boy of Dutch design at the same time as the early Droog days. He kind of really went against the grain of traditional design because design then was all very much same type of thing, you know? And companies would go to Milan to the furniture exhibition. They'd all just copy each other and change something a little, and then it would appear the next year. Well, Droog, which Marcel Wanders was part of, started to use secondhand materials, reuse things, upcycle, and also add humor and wit to their designs. And it completely took the design world by storm. And Marcel Wanders was particularly good at this. And as I said, he went from being the rebel to basically, as far as I see it, he's almost like God in the design world to me. This man is so creative. It's just unbelievable. I saw an exhibition of 25 years of his work at the Modern Art Museum about 5 years ago, and it was just the most sublime experience I could possibly have had. And now he's got this place. He's got the Marcel Wanders studio, and he actually employs 52 designers and communicators. And they all work together, and this is huge, just great big creative frenzy. Yeah, the horse lamp is something else. And because why not? And it's full-sized. Okay. You do need a lot of space to be able to set a lot of these products off at their best. And this wallpaper here, it also comes in carpets. This is a tribute to extinct animals, and it's a way of bringing these extinct animals back into our daily lives and also making us just aware of, the consequences of our actions. Very beautiful. Okay, let's go into Moooi. Hi. So here goes. Hello. There is wind, obviously. No sound? Okay, the signal's down. I've got 5 out of 5. I've now increased the sound input. Tell me if it's too high. I've put it onto the highest setting now. Okay, let's have a closer look. So there's lots of strange creatures in here. There's monkeys on this. As I said, I mean, it's kind of bold, you must say, to have just such an incredibly busy design. I love it, but you need a lot of space for it, obviously. Great. Now, let's take a wander through. Before we do that, I'd like to actually read you something, and which I got out here. Let me just find it. Okay, here it is. Actually, let me find something pretty for you to look at while I read it to you. And I don't want to read here because I don't want to disturb the people. Okay. I want to read you how Marcel Wanders describes the philosophy of this design place on their own website. And I thought I'd read it because I can't describe it better than them. Marcel Wanders' chief concern is to bring the human touch back to design, ushering in what he calls design's new age, in which designer, craftsperson, and user are reunited. In his process, Marcel Wanders defies design dogma, preferring instead to focus on holistic solutions rather than technocratic. In this universe, the coldness of industrialism is emplaced instead by the poetry, fantasy, and romance of different ages, vividly brought to life in the contemporary moment. So, there you go. Oh, yeah, it is just so inspiring coming here. And look at that, Sue. Sue, we have a unicorn. This is, this is basically as tall as me. So, let's have a look at some of the lights. These wonderful lamps. Secret worlds inside. And okay, there we go. Unicorn rocking house. Look at this lamp. It is just so beautiful, these lamps. Really are beyond delightful. So I don't have enough space for this unicorn rocking horse, unfortunately. It's enormous. Now, carpets. So they have a lot of carpets here. If you look up Moooi, by the way, mooi.com, there's a whole website about their carpets and the different styles of them. And this is obviously in Delft blue, which you're not used to seeing in a carpet, And the chair in the window is great. I'm going to show you some big chairs soon. This is one of my favorite carpets here. And this is all one carpet, by the way. So even though it changes color, it's still woven as one carpet. It's like being in an Escher painting, or drawing rather. And when you have it made, I suppose you decide like, oh, I'd like to have a table there, so let's do a dark square underneath. Which is just so much fun. And these lamps are kind of what... he's also famous for these large lamps. And I'll show you how large they are. They're actually this big. So that's what I mean about you need to have quite a lot of space to be able to carry something like this off. So, these are what I'd like to show you. These are really quite remarkable. the lamps there's so many beautiful lamps, and particularly this one. The designer is Raymond Puts, P-U-T-S. Welcome, Kay. And let me see if this is the best I can do. Maybe I can find one without such a busy background. And I can go over here and you can get a closer look. So, okay, this guy, Raymond Puts, was a mathematician, actually, not a lamp or furniture designer. He was also a technical engineer. He was born in 1937, and he grew up playing with Meccano. Thank you, Ruth. And he wanted to find a way of combining beauty and functionality. And he also had a particular fascination, wait for it, with prime numbers. Okay. So he found a way. He played around a lot with LED lighting. Up at on the base of this one, there are just two electric wires. And the one electric wire links up to this sphere and the other one to that sphere. And they're joined here by these lights. So the electricity is actually going through these inner and outer spheres and lit in between. And of course, the number of lights in each of his lamp is a prime number. But he is remarkable, beautifully designed. So did they say that he's the person who really put stars in the ceiling of Droog? Right, let's see. Absolutely love this chair. And also I'm so glad I got this mic that I can walk away so I can give you an idea of the scale of things. Okay. So this chair is designed to be an absolute safe haven. So it's actually sculpted to your body. And the idea is that you can just come here and you can sit in it and sort of spend the whole day cocooned in this really safe feeling space to contemplate and read a book and just enjoy what you're doing. So I think it really makes that. It's so, it just feels like it has its arms around you. And as for these carpets, they're designed by an Italian designer, and her name, I wrote it down somewhere. What is it? Elena Salmistraro. And you can find more about her on the website of Droog. But these carpets, she's got 3, and they're called Space Escape. And the idea behind them is that the planet is screaming out. You know, we've abused our home planet. And at some point, it will continue, but probably without us. And the idea that she had with these carpets is that, I'm just going to move some of the chairs off them, is that it's us going out into the universe, looking for new places that we can be. And it's meant to be sort of quite dreamlike. It's like a dreamy sci-fi carpet, inspired by Stanley Kubrick, David Lynch, David Bowie. And I think they are really quite remarkable. I just love them. And all of their carpets come in, different materials, from like cheaper poly stuff, right up to wool. One thing, you don't come here to save money, by the way. Just sure you probably realize that. Hello. Oh yeah, I didn't know you could hear me and I'm talking, blah, blah, blah. Okay, thank you. This is a carpet version of the extinct animals we saw on the wall outside. Oh, thank you, Sue. This always kind of looks to me like it looks a bit like a hamburger from a distance. And then there's another chair here I want to show you, and I can show you the scale of it as well. Oh, gosh, it's hot in here. So yeah, this for me is the chair. I think that I could just happily have a couple of and, probably not move all afternoon, basically. I do love big chairs. And it's so fluffy. Everybody wants one. Well, you can buy them on the website. Actually, I couldn't find this one on the website today.
You can configure it on the website.
Oh, I see. Okay. Okay, cool. Thanks. So let's see. Oh, the price. I think it's probably it's probably 5,000 or something like that, but maybe more. One of my favorite chairs is this. It's the Chesterton sofa. And this happens to be the last one that they haven't ever. So you're used to seeing Chesterton. It looks more Chesterfield to me, but then you do get Chestertons like this. I mean, obviously, they're not normally standing on their end. But this piece is designed by the Marcel Wanders studio. And this really sort of feeds into the early sort of thing, when I said the bad boy thing of just taking something and doing something completely unexpected with it. And definitely, taking an existing product and then changing it in some way. And then you get a new design. And I'll show you. So it becomes a chair, but for one or two people sitting over here. And it doesn't swivel, actually. So, it's, as I say, it takes on a whole different form. You know, this type of sofa is normally low and heavy. And now it becomes kind of elongated and quite elegant. So it's just absolute, design genius. And people often say with things, well, I could have thought of that, but we don't, do we? Or if we do think of it, we don't do it. Well, I think it's good maybe, Sue, if you're downsizing and you don't want to, you can't face getting rid of some furniture and turn it on its end. By the way, this is kind of unusual. Look at this vase here. Welcome, Myra. These are egg vases. So Marcel had this idea. He thought, why don't I mold a vase around a whole pile of boiled eggs? I mean, why not? So he boiled a bunch of eggs, put each egg in a condom so it wouldn't get fall apart, and then cast the porcelain around them, and hey ho, there you go. Egg vases. I wish I had thought of that. Right, let's see. I'm going to head out soon because I've got some other things I want to show you, but this is what I wanted to find. This chair here is a whole series, and it's made to look like burnt furniture. So if you see here, it actually looks like burnt wood. And it's just the unusualness of sitting in something that actually has been burnt, but it hasn't been burnt, obviously. And I think it's such a novel take. I put my bag down somewhere as well. I'm just going to find it. On such a sort of a traditional design, but completely changed. Now let's go and find my bag. It's probably over here. No, maybe it's over here. Thanks. Oh, yes, and there's a new line of Christmas decorations now. Should we start a crowdfunding for the white fluffy chair? So, Christmas decorations. Welcome, Catherine. Also, a bit sad in a way, but extinct animals to hang from the Christmas tree. Right. So yeah, that is Moooi, and there's so much info on the website, and there's biographies about the different designers, and oh, I see. Oh yes, buy the fluffy chair. I thought that was just a typo. I saw them setting this up the other day. Yes, the horse lamps here. Okay, we're going to see it on the way out. It's in the entrance. So yeah, there we go. Moooi. So beautiful they put an extra O in it. And here's the horse lamp. Ta-da! Okay, I'll try and keep it still there. Have I got the whole shade in? I can't quite see there. I think I've got the whole shade in now. So if you can quick snap. Okay. Goodness. I'm wearing so many layers because it's cold out. I think I'm absolutely soaking wet underneath now. Okay, now that is so beautiful. It has an extra O. And right next door is a shop called Leeelijk. Now, Leeelijk means ugly. And, hello. Hi. So, Leelijk, it means ugly, but they've added an extra E. So, there's a joke on it being really, really ugly. But this is actually not ugly at all. It's a wonderful shop. Hello. Full of, hi. Vintage. There are rules here. Be nice or go away. Yeah, I think it's brilliant. The only rule we got. Great. Okay, there's a rule here. And there's a wonderful collection of vintage pieces here, particularly lamps. So check this out. It is an absolute treasure trove. And, most of them need to be rewired and that type of thing. But he goes to Hungary, actually, and gets lots and lots of stock. So it's not just lamps. I mean, you suddenly find yourself in this great big wardrobe here. And I love this place, except you just you can literally walk in the central aisle. And I mean, there's a whole lot of stuff that we'll never see until somebody buys what's in front of it. Thank you, April. Oh, I don't think they do much stock taking. And it just goes on. I bought lamps from here before and had them rewired because I love vintage lamps. Welcome, Elsie from Hong Kong. We're just in the ugly shop. As you see, as I said, just goes on and on and on. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these things, I mean, once they're rewired and that type of thing, will certainly be quite valuable. But, there's a certain amount of work that has to be done to them, which is great because it also makes them, perhaps just slightly more affordable than if everything had been sort of maximized and each last bit of profit factored in, So Moooi and Leelijk. Let's try not to trip over anything. Thanks, Carla. Yeah, we're in a vintage shop here, but it's all sorts of wonderful stuff. Mainly lamps. Yeah, absolutely, how deep these buildings are. Oh, that's nice. I do like this kind of retro stuff. Oh, I like that. I might come back and get that afterwards. Hi, what time do you close today?
Now.
Now, okay, how much do you want for this?
Staat erop.
Oh, I can't read it. 15. Okay, sorry, I need to buy this now because they're closing now.
Take your time.
There we go.
Okay, and we're going to wrap it there for you in the paper.
Oh, don't worry, I'll just take it like that. It's fine.
Here you are.
Thank you.
Here you are.
Super. Great, thanks.
Thank you.
There you go, so I've done some shopping as well. Excellent. Oh, okay, Julia. Oh, I'm just about knocking something over. So. Hey, dankjewel.
Hi man, dankjewel.
Great. So, back on the street. Got my vase. And I got just a couple more things to show you. This is the Westerstraat. Oh yeah, maybe I should do that. I've got a bag here. Let me just do that. You're very wise.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely did. Look at this lovely sort of 1960s, 70s type of feel to it. 15 euros, you know, it's not a lot of money. And just pop it in my little bag. Great. Okay. Wow. I didn't even know about this tiny alleyway. Look at this. This is Shoemaker's Alley. I think we always say the one in the red light is the narrowest in town. But I have a funny feeling that this one might be the narrowest alleyway in town. Don't get much narrower than that. Anyway. So, I know, Sue, but I saw something online today, I think that Dawn posted, saying, and I relate to this, you know, when people say 30 years ago, my mind goes to the 1970s. Okay. And I'm always a bit shocked that it's not 30 years ago. But so I can understand if you're thinking the 60s, yeah. So here's the Westerstraat. And in this area, I've had lots of friends living in this area, many artist friends in Amsterdam. And a really traditional way that people would display their work, and still do, is in windows, either their own front window, when there were people, you know, it was cheaper anyway. And then, you know, you have a wall, like, or maybe like just a barrier 1 meter behind that. And then, so that's one. And people do this a lot, your own one or somebody else's. And this actually belongs to the bar just around the corner. This one here. And this is where Dennis, who I know, and I'm going to do a whole tour just about Dennis, by the way. So Dennis Daniels, and here's a picture of him. And he's been making money and surviving from his art, you know, all his, you know, for decades now. And has it displayed in typical windows like this. And he's put a whole lot of his can art in, which I'm so pleased about, because he's changed the window a lot since last time I was here. So he makes these figures out of cans. And who ever knew quite how expressive, I was telling him he's got to wash this, clean the window on the inside, how expressive soda or beer cans can be. It's quite remarkable. So there are all these bicycles parked in front here, which is a very typical Amsterdam thing. But I bought a couple of these years ago before I actually met him, and I love them. And then I saw some in the street, and then I remembered him, so I contacted him and said, hey, is he interested in doing a thing on Heygo? And then we discovered that he's actually the long-term partner of a friend of mine, you know, so not a close friend, but somebody I know independently. So we've met a number of times now for coffee, and I'm just, they're all beer cans. These do look, yeah, they are all beer cans, these ones. Yeah. I'm just getting to know him because I want to really understand what makes him tick and learn more about his art before I do a tour with him. But if you can look on his website, dennisdesign.eu. And again, he's also got some fantastic lamps. We all love lamps. And then there's another artist here. These are quite well known. I don't know who this person is, but I recognize the art. So it's somebody else who's doing the same thing. Except this looks like a little studio behind, as opposed to, say, Dennis's one where he does look a bit like Rod Stewart, doesn't he? Yeah. And these are such fun. They really are kind of impressions of Amsterdam. So, there we have it. And we still have 5 minutes to go. So, what I'll do is walk us down a little back street towards the Noorderkerk. And it's a pleasure, Carla. My plan is to have, thank you, Beverly, is to do different walks in this area. It's quite a big area and there are different elements to it. So there's certainly different topics. Is this car going to go or not? No. There are different topics which I can certainly pick out, and we'll do these as Jordaan walks. Great little area. So nice that it's actually here. And the reason, as I mentioned, it was heavily squatted after the war. And a lot of the buildings are in very poor condition. But the squatters moved in and they actually, renovated the buildings. So they stopped them falling down. The city had plans to break down a lot of the area, however, and to put a big motorway through here, linking up to Central Station. And that would have obviously destroyed the whole sort of feel of this neighborhood. But they couldn't do that because of these damn squatters had moved in and they were living in the houses. And because Amsterdam is kind of socialist, they couldn't just be kicked out. So in a funny sort of way, it was the squatting community that saved this district. And they did that not only because they were poor and they needed places to stay, but many people did it as a matter of principle because they thought it was not right that empty houses should be left empty. And there was a housing shortage, a crisis of housing and housing need. Also, a lot of people felt it was not appropriate at all that developers would buy up these houses and then leave them to deteriorate so that they could then have an excuse to shut them down, to break them down and build, is this open? Yeah. And build something new and shiny. So people would squat for that reason as well. Here's a really, really nice neighborhood library, isn't it? So yeah, there was more to the squatters movement than just a sort of anarchy, although anarchy was part of it, of course. This is one of the old Dutch telephone booths, telephone. Oh, you do? Oh, great. I've never seen it before. So yeah, in that way, and of course by those people then being moved out by design and then being moved back in with social housing contracts, the area still has a sort of a richness of artsy people and who are not necessarily that money motivated. And yeah, it's a lovely area for it. Just peek into the houses just a little bit. So, the funny thing about this area, though, is that there are no canals in this part anyway, because so many were filled in. There used to be canals running through it in many, many places. And yeah, it's a great idea, the phone booths. But yeah, because the canals became so smelly here, a lot of them were filled in. That seemed to be the easiest thing to do with it. And what have we here? This is somebody's house. I don't think I've ever pointed to. Oh, no, it's not. It's a cafe. It looks so homely. Oh, I can point it at the window then. This is you can see how nice the houses were here, though, because there's a ground floor and then there's a mezzanine level. And it's and quite high ceilings as well. Yeah, the streets are great. And I always say, if you come to, thank you, Kay and Shana, if you come to Amsterdam, a good idea is to try and get lost in the Jordaan district, because it's just nice to take a wander around, and it doesn't matter which direction you go, just turn directions all the time and just see where you end up. And there really are, there's families, there's children's playgrounds, there's schools, there's all sorts of things like that. And it's so central still, though. That's part of its, amazingness that it's actually remained. It's called the Jordaan, which is Jordaan. And there's no definite answer to why it's called the Jordaan. There are various hypotheses, but no one knows for sure. But I can talk about those another time. Coming up to the northern church here, the Noorderkerk. Yeah, so Donna, did you have a bad reaction to your first or second shots as well, or is it this the booster shot? Is it a new thing? Not at all. Okay, that's fascinating. Wow. Anyway, well, hopefully you'll be super duper duper protected soon. Okay. Yeah, I didn't have any reaction either. And this year with my flu shot, I didn't either. Not even a sore arm. Love these views, these angles of the Noorderkerk here. It's such an interesting combination. Oh, you'd never guess who I bumped into. Look what I found. I was trying to not pan around too quickly. Ta-da! So,
that was a nice tour. I was listening to it at the museum, then on my bike.
Okay, so Lee's been following us at the museum on her bike. You can probably be heard now because I've got the lapel mic on here. So the two of us, are going to be in Brussels next week with Finn and Patrick, which is going to be such a laugh. I can't believe it. It's actually going to happen.
We're also going to be on a boat tomorrow.
We're going to be on a boat tomorrow. I got a brain like a sieve. And so I'll be driving and Lee will be yada, yada, yada-ing. And, hi. Can I order in just a moment? Just 2 minutes, thanks. And so that's what we're doing tomorrow. I'm not sure if we should play that same song again. What do you think? The story, the Don McLean song. We've played it twice. And do you think it's too much? Or should we find something else? Or do you want to hear it again? Is what I'm trying to wonder about.
We have the other song, but there was a bad word in it.
Okay. You can sing along. Okay. Well, if you want it again... Okay, great. Well, there we go. Okay. No, well then definitely. Okay, that's I'm glad I asked. Okay. So we've got that tomorrow, and that's tomorrow's Friday. Then I don't have anything on Saturday. When's your... Do you have anything after the boats?
I'm desperately trying to book stuff, but I need the boats to make the schedule. But they're...
okay. And then I've got on Sunday I'm doing the last windmills of the year. So that's windmills and clog making. So that's on Sunday. And I think I've booked for after Brussels. Oh, then I'm doing the Christmas market in Brussels. It's so crazy because we're going down there and the dates were decided by the Toomies and when they're flying out. And they're flying out on the morning of the 26th. And then I was looking, and the 26th, I'm going to be there, is the day that the big winter market opens in Brussels. So I thought, why not? It seems silly not to. So I'm going to do a Christmas market down there. And Lee does look like the girl with the pearl earring. And we're going to dress her up like that because there's a place we go where they take pictures of you dressed as Dutch paintings. And you definitely got the look.
Don't have pierced ears.
Yeah, well, we can pierce your ears. I can do it. I did mine with the... Okay. Well, hey, thank you so much for joining, everybody. And, clip-ons. Clip-ons will be fine. And, see you soon, hopefully. And, great. Well, I hope you enjoyed it. I'd love to see some photos. If you only want... Well, of course, I know Beverly makes the most beautiful collages, but that'd be great. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Good tour, Mark.
Thanks. Bye. Chris, you were waving, but then that's making the table wobble and the gimbal's going mad. Okay. Okay, bye. Ciao.